She prayed for 17 years. Then God answered in one night. Her name was Ruth. She wasn't famous. She didn't speak on stages. She didn't travel far or write books. But every night for 17 years, she knelt beside a small window and prayed, for one thing. She lived in a quiet town. Dusty streets, Sunday potlucks, people who knew your name but not your story. She married young, to a man named James, a mechanic with calloused hands and kind eyes. They built a simple life. No excess, just enough. When their son Samuel was born, it felt like the world had opened up. He had Ruth's eyes and James's quiet focus. He asked questions about the stars. He folded his hands when he prayed. He used to say, "Mama, does Jesus really hear me when I whisper?" Ruth would smile. "He hears you before you speak." For years, Samuel was gentle, curious, soft-hearted, but life shifted. By 13, Samuel had changed. He stopped asking about God. He stopped going to church. His laughter dulled. His answers became shorter. His heart distant. Ruth noticed. Mothers always notice. One night, he didn't come home until after midnight. Another, he came home reeking of smoke. Once he stayed out for 3 days. He didn't explain. He didn't apologize. He stopped looking her in the eyes. She didn't yell. She didn't threaten. She prayed. That night, and every night after, she lit the same candle on the same windowsill, folded her hands, bowed her head. "God, please, bring him back, to you, to us." Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. Samuel moved out. No note, no phone call. He was gone. James tried to move on. Said maybe Samuel needed space. Said they should stop waiting by the phone. But Ruth couldn't let go. Every night she lit the candle, said his name out loud, prayed as if he could hear her. "Wherever he is, Lord, hold him." Years passed. 5, then 10. Christmas came without a call. Birthdays without a card. People stopped asking. Even James stopped bringing him up. But Ruth didn't stop praying. One night James found her in the living room kneeling again. He said, "Ruth, maybe this is just how it is now." She shook her head, eyes full of quiet fire. "No. As long as I breathe, I pray." At year 12, James got sick, a heart condition. He faded slowly. The house got quieter. When he passed, Ruth buried him next to her parents. Samuel didn't come. Neighbors brought food, hugged her gently, said things like, "You've been so strong." She smiled, but her strength wasn't hers. It came from prayer, from hope that refused to die. After the funeral, she went home, sat in his empty chair, and lit the candle. 17 years. That's how long she prayed. No sign, no letter, no reason to keep hoping. But she did, because love doesn't let go, and faith doesn't forget. Then, on an ordinary Thursday night, it happened. The doorbell rang. The doorbell rang. Ruth wasn't expecting anyone. It was nearly 9. Dark outside, quiet inside. She stood slowly, unsure. No neighbors ever came that late. No deliveries after sundown. When she opened the door, she didn't recognize the man at first. Taller than she remembered. Beard rough, shoulders heavier, eyes tired. Then she saw it. Those eyes. Same ones that looked up at her from a crib 17 years ago. Her breath caught. "Samuel." He looked at her, lips trembling. "Hi, Mom." That was all he said, just, "Hi." But in that one word, 17 years cracked open. She didn't speak, didn't ask. She just opened her arms. He stepped forward, collapsed into her. The weight of his body pressed into her shoulders like the years themselves. His breath shook. She felt his tears on her neck. They stood in silence, holding what had once been broken. She let him in. The house smelled like cinnamon and old wood. He looked around. Everything familiar but smaller now, older, like time had waited and moved all at once. The candle was still burning on the windowsill. She made him tea, sat him down. He didn't stop staring at her, like he was afraid she'd vanish. He finally spoke. "I didn't know where else to go." She nodded. "You came to the right place." He looked down at his hands. "I thought about you, all the time. But I didn't think I deserved to come back." She reached over, placed her hand on his. "You were always my son. You never stopped being welcome here." He wiped his face, laughed without joy. "I messed everything up." She didn't answer, just held his hand tighter. Then he told her everything. He told her about the drugs, the friends who weren't friends, the nights on sidewalks, the fights, the jail time, the loneliness. He told her how he hardened his heart, how he blamed everyone, blamed God. He told her how he almost ended everything twice. He told her about the job he lost, the car that broke down last week, how he was sleeping in a shelter 3 towns away. And then he said the part that mattered most. "I couldn't stop hearing your voice. The way you said my name when you prayed. I remembered it. I hated it. But I missed it." He paused. Then whispered, "I think God let me hear it to pull me back." Ruth's eyes filled with tears. "I never stopped praying." He nodded. "I know." She stood, walked to the shelf, pulled down a small journal. Inside were 17 years of prayers. Page after page, each one began the same. "Tonight I pray for Samuel." He flipped through them with shaking hands. "This is all me?" She nodded. He closed the book, held it to his chest. Eyes full of something new. They stayed up for hours, talking, crying, remembering. As dawn approached, Ruth stood and walked to the kitchen. She returned with a Bible, his old one. Still had his name, written inside the cover in crayon. She placed it in front of him. "I've been waiting 17 years to give this back to you." He picked it up, ran his hand across the worn leather. "Do you think it's too late?" She smiled. "For you? Never." He looked at her candle, now melted low. "Can we pray?" She nodded. They knelt together, side by side, like they used to, when he was 5. This time, he spoke first. Samuel closed his eyes. His voice cracked as he began. "God, I don't even know how to talk to you. I'm not clean. I'm not worthy. But I'm tired of running." He paused. "I'm sorry. For all of it. For forgetting you. For breaking her heart. For choosing everything but you." Another pause. "If you still want me, I want you." He wept. Not with guilt this time, but with release. Ruth placed a hand on his back. She didn't speak. She just listened, like she had for 17 years. Except this time, the silence wasn't empty. It was holy. They stayed on, their knees until sunlight crept through the curtains. Morning birds sang outside. The house smelled like hope. That night had changed everything. The days that followed weren't perfect. Samuel still struggled. He doubted. He got frustrated. He wanted to fix 17 years of damage in a week. But Ruth reminded him gently, "You don't need to climb back. You just need to walk forward." He started going to church again. Sat quietly in the back at first. Wore his only clean shirt. Listened more than he spoke. People noticed. Some whispered. Some smiled. One Sunday, during worship, he closed his eyes and raised his hands. Not because he was expected to, but because he finally believed again. He got a job at a hardware store, took a GED class in the evenings, joined a small group, called Ruth every night to read a psalm together over the phone, and one day he gave his testimony. He stood in front of 20 strangers and said, "I am here because my mother prayed for me. She never stopped. I tried to outrun God, but her prayers caught me." People cried, and when he sat down, Ruth was there, front row, smiling through tears. Months passed, then years. Samuel became a youth mentor. He didn't preach long sermons. He just listened to broken teenagers and told them, "Someone's praying for you, even if you don't know it." Ruth grew older, her steps slower, her hands softer. One night after dinner, she handed Samuel a box. Inside the candle, burned down, half-used, covered in wax strips. "This is the one?" he asked. She nodded. Every night, he picked it up with care. "It worked." She laughed. "No, God worked. I just kept asking." The last time they prayed, together, she whispered with a shaky voice, "God, you are faithful. You never forget. You never leave. Thank you for bringing my boy home." A few months later, she passed peacefully in her sleep. Samuel found her journal open to the last page. The last line read, "Tonight, I don't have to pray for him. He's already home." So here's the truth. Prayer isn't about how loud you are. It's not about perfect words. It's not about fast answers. It's about love that refuses to quit. Faith that stays when everything else falls. Hope that lights one small candle and keeps lighting it for 17 years. Because sometimes God doesn't answer right away. Sometimes He lets the waiting shape the miracle. But one night, just one night, can change everything. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Faith Light Stories. We believe in stories that speak hope, stir faith, and remind you God sees, God hears, and God answers, even if it takes 17 years.